Apple finally made some changes. The new iPhone 17 Pro has a unibody aluminum housing, and although it looks really cool from the outside, what about the inside? Previous Pro model iPhones were actually decently repairable because they allowed us to open them from the back and not have to risk breaking the front screen anymore. But with these new iPhones, that risk is probably back. What Apple failed to mention though is that this is actually the thickest Pro model iPhone yet. And that makes me wonder, what else did Apple fail to mention? And why did they make this so thick compared to past models? Let's tear it down and find out. And this is it. We finally have the iPhone 17 Pro Max. This phone is gorgeous. I know some people don't like it, but I absolutely love it. I think making the back glass cutout is a smart move because back glass breaks so often and this should prevent that. Up top, we have what looks to be an antenna bar, which I didn't hear anyone talking about. The orange color looks absolutely phenomenal, and I absolutely had to make sure I got my hands on this one. I want to give a special shout out to Connected for helping us get our hands on this because it was kind of hard to get this color, but they helped us make it happen. If you guys didn't know, this is actually the first iPhone to ever have water in it. And by water, I mean a vapor chamber. That's never really been seen before in an iPhone, but I want to see what else is in this one. So let's go ahead and unscrew those two pentalobe screws at the bottom. You can also see the model number inside the charging port. It's there on most new iPhones. The first thing we're gonna do is take a look at this back glass window and see if it's even repairable, because I didn't expect Apple to completely ditch titanium for aluminum, and the EU actually gave this a better durability rating than last year, but this glass window can still break. Before we check out the insides, let's talk about how to keep this safe. This is the ESR Cyber Tough case, and it gives you protection all around. It has a dual layer camera bar with a zinc alloy guard, which doubles as a versatile stash stand. It adjusts from 15 to 69 degrees in both portrait and landscape, so watching YouTube on your phone is now hands-free. There's also no more dirty charging ports because you have a flap, and no more dirty speakers because you have a mesh. Pairing the case with ESR's UltraFit Armorite Pro screen protector, which is made from the same Corning glass that Apple's trusted from the very beginning, you get a clear anti-reflective coating and 10 times the impact absorption compared to generic screen protectors, which means you can drop your new phone from 23 feet and not have a scratch. The case also comes with MagSafe magnets that are twice as strong as the average case, so your wallet, charger, or stand stays locked in at all times. With how expensive new iPhones are to fix, trust me, I would know you want to protect them. Click the link in the description and grab these today. Now, back to video. Now it's time to answer the biggest question I have. Is this glass window repairable? Is it even removable? Let's find out. We'll put it in our clamp. This phone is huge, barely fits in the clamp. Now we can attach our suction cup. We'll apply some heat. The back glass window is actually Ceramic Shield 1, while the front screen is Ceramic Shield 2, so it's slightly less durable. And it looks like the glass is lifting slightly, which is a great sign. Let's see if we can fully get it off. We'll apply some alcohol to a plastic prying card and slice that in there. Hopefully we're not slicing any flex cables because I have no idea where they are. So far so good. The back glass is almost completely off, and now we can go ahead and never mind, there is a flex cable. We'll remove it from the clamp and open it up. Damn, okay, that is about what I was expecting. So we have some adhesive around the perimeter here that's holding down the back glass. And on the back glass, we actually do have the MagSafe magnets over here. We have the wireless charging coil, and then we have two screw holes down here for the pentalobe screws. This back glass is fully replaceable and removable, which is amazing. To remove the back glass though, we have to unscrew this little screw down here and remove this guy. And then we can just go ahead and disconnect it. And just like that, the back glass is removed. You can easily replace this and easily fix this. I really like this design. I think Apple should have done this from the start. Back glass was a huge pain for everyone, but that problem is solved. Using our magnet paper, we could check out the MagSafe layout, and I actually noticed something a little strange this year. So if you put this on the back glass, you can see there's not one opening, but there's actually two. I haven't seen this before, and I'm not entirely sure why it's like this. If you guys know, drop a comment below. We're off to a great start with the removable back glass. I am kind of upset that the phone doesn't open up from the back anymore, but at least this is repairable. Let's get our clamp back and put that on the front screen. The clamp does have a cutout here. Hopefully it works with the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and it does. Nice. So we're just gonna do the same thing, place the suction cup down here. So far it looks like the iPhone 17 Pro's internals are completely redesigned, which is honestly what I expected. Now we'll apply some isopropyl alcohol, and the screen just pops right out. Before I fully open this, around the perimeter of the display here, you can see that there's this silicone texture. It's actually the frame, and they used to have plastic here, which used to separate, making it harder to remove. I also think that this helps with water resistance, so it's a cool addition. The display is now coming up. We're gonna remove the clamp, and we'll try and wiggle the display off. I did get a sneak peek, and this thing looks nothing like last year's. Oh, pin it up. What the hell? Are those torque screws? Damn. Apple changed pretty much everything this year. There's a lot to look at here, but we'll start off from the bottom. So down here we have the loudspeaker, obviously, but it looks like there's like a missing screw there. I don't exactly know what's going on. The elephant in the room this year, though, is obviously this giant metal shield. Apple hasn't done anything like this since, I'd say, the iPhone 3. Very weird to see in an iPhone. Usually you're just presented by the internals instantly, but now we have this guy. We also have a lot of torque screws, which I'm not used to seeing in an iPhone as well. We see those in like MacBooks and other devices, but not typically with an iPhone. Up here, the front camera, take a look at how big that is. I'm curious to see where the battery connector is because I can't really see it, and obviously I want to disconnect that before I start removing components. I think it might be under here, so we'll go ahead and unscrew this. Now we should be able to just pull it out. There we go. And we can see the battery connector. I know it's the battery connector because it obviously has the plus and minus symbols on it. We'll go ahead and disconnect that, unscrew this guy. And now we can disconnect both the screen and the sensors on the screen. Remove the display. The new display is 1000 nits brighter than the last gen, and it also has that anti-reflective coating, and you can definitely tell when you put it beside the iPhone 16 Pro. We'll put the display aside and take a look at the iPhone 17 Pro Max. There's a lot of screws in here. Do I have to unscrew all of these just to get to the internal components? It's not very nice. 15 screws later, which is a lot of screws to access a phone, not typical for an iPhone at least. We can remove this, and there's something heavy attached to it, which is probably the battery. What? I've never seen an iPhone design like this before, but here we are. The battery also still seems to be using the electrically activated adhesive. I'll check out if that works later. And the vapor chamber may be behind the battery as well. It's a very interesting design. I'm gonna put this aside and revisit it later. There's still a lot to check out on the inside. Now that we can see the rest of the phone, I'm impressed. This is crazy. Like, just look at how small the motherboard is. It's absolutely tiny. The rest is just camera bumps and the speaker. Like, the motherboard at this point is taking less space than the cameras. The actual front camera is just kind of hanging out now. It's barely even attached. Let's go ahead and unscrew that, and we could just pull this guy right out. So the front camera this year is actually 18 megapixels, and it's absolutely massive. It's perfect for taking pictures in both portrait and landscape mode, which is a huge plus, and I hope other phone brands actually copy this because I really like it. We'll remove the earpiece speaker now, which is getting bigger and bigger every year. It's almost as big as the bottom loudspeaker. So the earpiece speaker's audio is channeled through the housing, which comes out over here. And as you can see, there's no real speaker mesh. Like, the mesh is almost non-existent. There's some teeth up here, and the screen also doesn't have a mesh. So I'm worried about debris and dust building up in there, but the hole to get there is pretty small, and if water enters, it'll only stay inside the channel. It won't go in the actual device. We'll hit it with an unscrew. Just like that. No adhesive, nothing. The speaker just goes right into that channel, and the rubber gasket provides the seal that's required to keep this water resistant. It's actually kind of cool. Let's continue on with the rear cameras, which have more torque screws. I don't know why Apple introduced these. You have to carry 3 different types of screwdrivers, probably 4, because I'm not even done tearing this phone down. There was a downside to having the phone open up from the back, and you're about to see what it is in just a second. Now we could just pull up on the cameras. These are absolutely massive. So the downside to opening up a phone from the back is that the cameras were exposed right away, and once they get dirty, they're very hard to clean. The cameras this year are all 48 megapixels, and they're all fusion cameras. This is the ultra wide camera, this is the main camera, and this is the telephoto camera. We'll put this guy aside. Let's get that motherboard removed, and it looks like there's a bunch of Phillips screws mixed with tri-screws here, and The board is now free. You can see there's two connectors coming out of the board, which is another thing I'm not used to seeing. Over here we have the NAND, which is a storage. This is the 512 gigabyte version. It has 12 gigabytes of RAM this year for Apple's intelligence, and this board houses the A19 Pro chip, which is obviously Apple's fastest chip ever. It's always Apple's fastest chip in case you missed the memo. On the right here, we likely have the NFC chip, and on the left here, we have the LiDAR, which is hiding under this little spacer. Up here, we have the flash, which is hiding under a flex cable. These are likely for the antennas. We have a plastic spacer where the SIM tray would be, but it's probably just to keep the battery in place. There is still extra battery. You're still getting more technically. Speaking of the battery, I still have to take a look at that and the vapor chamber. I'm gonna cut that open and drink the water inside. Maybe. This iPhone probably has the most screws ever in any iPhone, but it also probably has the least amount of adhesive in any iPhone. The loudspeaker and earpiece speakers are huge in this device, and I'm sure the audio sounds pretty good as well. Something that's very important in a phone is how easy it is to replace your charging port, but Apple, for some reason, decided to make it much harder this year. The Taptic engine is now free. This is the thing that makes your phone go brrr. After an insane amount of screws later, we can finally remove the charging port. This phone charges from 0 to 50% in just 20 minutes, and on the back of this port, it seems like we have the 5G antenna. Now, it's time to remove the battery and get a closer look at that vapor chamber. The battery also has the electrically activated adhesive. For some reason though, we couldn't get it to release, so we just did the prize shame. This is a 19.988 watt-hour battery or a 5112 milliamp hour battery. Now let's slice into that vapor chamber. And here it is. There's no visible water in here. They only put trace amounts of deionized water, but it's always crazy how accurate the renders are in the keynote. All in all, this phone was very interesting. Apple did a lot of things for the first time with this device, but from a repairability standpoint, I hate the new layout and interior design. It feels very un-Apple-like. They used an insane amount of screws, but a lot less adhesive, which both complicates and simplifies repairs. It's gonna take quite a while to do pretty much any repairs in this device, but you still can, so it is technically repairable. I'm definitely not a huge fan of this layout, but I hope the iPhone Air will make up for it.